What's up, PokeMoshPit? Rampage here again, and I actually want to apologize for the last video I sent here to PokeMoshPit. The narration was out of sync with the battle, and that was completely my fault for not checking the video after I rendered it. So I just want to apologize to you guys again for that, and I'm actually here with a re-upload of that same battle, hopefully with a better narration, a narration that's actually going to be in sync this time. So anyway, since this is a re-upload, it's against the same guy, JDIZZLE, aka JD. Real cool guy, real cool battler, real cool narrator. I hope you will check him out after this video. So without further ado, let's get started with this battle. I'm going to lead off with my Politoed. My opponent's going to lead off with the Landers. I'm in a better position than he is because my Politoed can take this thing out in one hit, whereas he can't take me out in one hit. So he's going to go for the U-turn. And he's actually going to U-turn out into his Ferrothorn because Ferrothorn is more situated to deal with Politoed. I'm just going to go for the Scald on whatever he U-turned out into, being the Ferrothorn, and unfortunately I don't get the burn, but that's okay because even though it's 30% chance, you have a higher chance of not getting the burn than getting it. But right now I'm not in a good position against this Ferrothorn with my Politoed, so I'm going to switch out into my Jirachi because Ferrothorn shouldn't be able to do too much to Jirachi. But he is going to go for the Leech Seed, predicting my switch, so I guess that was a good play on his part. Not so good for me because now he's going to be getting his HP back every turn while dealing residual damage to me. But I don't think this is all bad for me because I can get my rocks up freely and safely because, like I said, his Ferrothorn can't do too much to me. But he is actually going to set up his spikes, and I guess that's the bad thing about Jirachi facing a Ferrothorn is that Ferrothorn can set up hazards on Jirachi quite easily. So I'm not in a good position because I don't want him to set up the spikes all on my side of the field because I'm very weak to spikes, even though I do have a rapid spinner being my fortress. He has a spin blocker though, and with that spin blocker it's going to be very hard for me to rapid spin, so like I said, the spikes are pretty threatening to me. Anyway, I'm going to go out into my fortress, and he's actually going to predict that and go for the Thunder Wave. Not that it matters too much, fortress is already slow and it can actually power up a Gyro Ball, so I don't know if that's going to be too beneficial for him, but you actually will see later on. Anyway, he's going to predict my Rapid Spin and go out into his Golurk to try and block it, but I'm going to go for the Toxic Spikes knowing that he will go out into his Golurk. And that's pretty much all that happened on that turn. But anyway, he's going to set up his Stealth Rocks now, and that's also not good for me because I do have a Thundurus on this team, which is weak to Stealth Rocks, and I am going to get Parahaxed right here. So that's kind of unfortunate for me. I don't really think it mattered too much because I was just going to go for the Earthquake, and right now you'll see how much this Earthquake does to the Golurk. Not so much. As for his Earthquake, to me did a pretty reasonable chunk of damage. So that's not looking too good for me, but I'm just going to stay in and go for the Spikes, I believe. He's just going to go for the Earthquake, and after 2 Earthquakes he takes me down to past half health, so that's not looking good for my fortress at all. I'm thinking that this Golurk is more physically orientated in attack, so I gotta watch out for this thing, definitely with my fortress, because he can't take too many more Earthquakes. So I'm going to switch out now. I'm going to go out into my Landers because I can get the Intimidate on this Golurk for one, and I knew that he would probably go for the Earthquake again, and Landers is immune to the Earthquake, so that was the game plan. I do get the Intimidate on him, he does go for Earthquake, and I do dodge that because I'm immune to it, part flying type. So I'm going to go for the U-turn now because I don't believe an Earthquake will be able to take out this Golurk in one hit. So I'm going to U-turn, and I'm going to go out into my Keldeo because I'm pretty sure he's not going to go for the Earthquake, so Keldeo should be able to take a hit easily, and plus he does have the Intimidate on him, so I'm just figuring my Keldeo should be able to take a hit from this Golurk easily, like I just said, and he is actually, I'm tripping on my words, he's actually going to go for the Ice Punch, which is nice because I'm able to take that super easily, because I do resist that, and then I can scare him out with the Surf, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Surf as he brings out his Arcanine. Now I'm guessing he brought out his Arcanine as Death Water because it was the most useless guy to him, seeing as though the rain's up and Arcanine can't utilize his most effective stab. Why did I say most effective stab? He only has one. Arcanine can't utilize his stab on me effectively. So anyway, I'm going to take this thing out with a Surf, get a crit that definitely didn't matter. Rain boosted Surf from a Keldeo on the Arcanine. Yeah, it didn't matter. So now he's going to bring out his Jirachi to take on my Keldeo. I'm guessing what he really wants to do is just paralyze me, but I'm going to stay in and see how much a rain boosted Surf is going to do to this Jirachi. Probably a bad play on my part because he is going to go for the Body Slam, and unfortunately for me, he will get the paralyze on me. So that pretty much renders one of my main sweepers on this team pretty useless. Well, not useless, but it can deem him very useless. Not useless, but what's the word I want to say? Not as useful as he once was without being paralyzed. But anyway, I know he's going to try and paraflinch me now, so I'm going to go out into my Thundurus because Thundurus can take the Iron Head because I do resist that. Even though after the Stealth Rocks and Iron Head, it does almost half to me, so that's not good for my Thundurus. And plus I have Life Orb, so this Thundurus's survivability is already pretty much cut down to half. But anyway, nonetheless, I am going to take out the Jirachi with a Thunder, and now I don't have to deal with that Jirachi anymore. So he's going to bring out his Landorus now, and the way he brings it in, I suspect that this thing is Choice Scarf, so I'm going to switch out. I'm going to go out into my Fortress because I'm thinking he's either going to go for the Stone Edge or the HP Ice. And this is probably not the best play on me because even if he went for the Stone Edge, he could have probably easily 2-hit KO'd me after the hazards. But he's going to make a good play and predict the switch and go for the Earthquake. Very risky for him, but it did pay off because he was able to take out my Fortress. But now I'm going to go out into my Thundurus because I'm thinking that he is Scarfed and he's locked in on Earthquake and I can just take that thing out with an HP Ice. But he's going to switch out, confirming to me that he is Scarfed, and he's going to go out into his Ferrothorn. I'm just going to hit this thing with an HP Ice instead. And that's actually going to do a pretty nice chunk of damage if you ask me, because that was a non-stat base 70 power move against a Ferrothorn, which has a lot of special defense. So anyway, I'm just going to take this thing out with a Focus Blast the next turn. I do get a crit on him. I really don't think the crit mattered, just seeing how much health he had, and I do have a lot of special attack on Thundurus. I believe it's base 145. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, now that the Ferrothorn's gone, I'm going to go out into my Politoed because I'm thinking Politoed should be able to deal with the majority of his team. But I failed to realize that he still does have his Keldeo, and Politoed really can't do too much to this Keldeo. And it's not really all that bad though, because since his Keldeo came in, it's now poisoned, so he will get worn down and he won't be able to sweep me if I play my cards right. But he's going to go for a Calm Mind, making this thing super threatening to me. It can pretty much hit all of my guys super hard, and it's not good for me at all. I'm going to go for the Scald, and looking back at it now, that was probably the bad play to make because I do have Perish Song on this Politoed, and had I went for the Perish Song, I could have definitely prevented this thing from staying in for more than 3 turns. But anyway, he's going to take me out with the Secret Sword, and I lose my Politoed to this Keldeo, but I'm not too worried because he's actually taking a lot of damage from the poison and his own Life Orb recoil. And he's taking enough damage to the point where I can just bring out my Landorus and revenge kill him easily with an Earthquake. I am Choice Scarf, so I should be able to outspeed this Keldeo, and I will be able to outspeed this Keldeo because we already saw that he had Life Orb, and Earthquake should definitely be enough to take out this Keldeo. So now he's going to bring out his Golurk, and I do know that he has Ice Punch, so I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to want to go for on my Landorus. So I don't want to stay in because I don't think an Earthquake can take that thing out from where it's at. So I'm going to go out into my Keldeo pretty much as Death Fodder, just so that just so that his Golurk can rack up some poison on him. So that was the game plan right there. He's going to go for the Ice Punch, which is nice because now my Keldeo can, stay in for one more turn. And the longer my Keldeo stays in, and the longer his Golurk stays in, the more poison he's going to be racking up on himself. So that's pretty much my game plan right here, is to have this Golurk take himself down a lot from the poison. He's going to go for the Shadow Punch now, and I believe after the poison he's going to be close to yellow health, I think. So he's probably about like 48.5% health. I don't know, that was a random number in my head, but not 48.5, 52.5 or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to bring out my Landorus. I'm going to go for the Earthquake, and that's going to be able to take out this Golurk with the help of a crit. Now the crit only mattered if his Golurk was more of a defensive build, but if it wasn't, then the crit really didn't matter. So now his last guy is his Landorus. I have a Jirachi and a Landorus left, so I'm in a good position because now I can just go out into my Jirachi, Death Fodder this thing to see what he wants to do. If he goes for the Earthquake, then he'll take out my Jirachi, but then I can just bring out my Landorus again and be immune to that. If he went for the HP Ice, then I can just take out this Landorus with my Jirachi. So anyway, he's going to go for the Earthquake, and he's going to take out my Jirachi. That's fine because he's locked into Earthquake now. I can bring out my Landorus and just finish him off with an HP Ice because I do carry that. So that's the game plan. I'm going to go for the HP Ice, and he is going to go for the Earthquake, and he outsped me, so that does mean that he is Scarf. I'm going to go for the HP Ice on this Landorus and take this thing out. So that's going to be the game. A close one though. It was real fun, a real good battle. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely a lot better than the last video I sent here. And yeah, so if you did enjoy this, please come check out my channel again. I do have a lot of similar content. Also check out my opponent. He does some really good battles and some good narrations like I said earlier. And yeah, so that's with me, Rampage here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the near future. Rampage signing out. Goodbye.